What are you seeing right now with the
Are
like
you actually
lead time?
filming this now because I'm just sitting
That's how
here?
casual it's supposed to be.
Okay, well, that's way too casual, so start again for
What
me.
what are you looking at right now on lead times of everything? Like how long is the car going to be in the shop? What parts are they going to be getting? Like what's the client dealing with right now?
A couple of body shops that we work with most consistently are seeing as much as a 3 to 4 month delay.
Man,
Supply chain
right.
issues, lack of workers. We've had hail damage from a couple of storms, and then you have your typical accidents that customers have, and you have all this backlog, and so you're seeing 3 to 4 months. And again, I think that's important to understand. It's not an insurance company issue.
Right.
That's more of the collision centers, body shops.
How are insurance companies handling it when you've got at fault accidents with two people involved and rental payouts? Like how are they kind of handling the situation? Because it's not normal to be out 4 months.
No, no, not. It's pretty unusual. What we do here at Farmers, at the Scott Stroller Agency, is we're advising clients that if your car is drivable and you're not going to do further damage, it's not a safety
Mm-hmm.
issue for yourself or somebody else, continue driving your car.
Okay.
Contact the body shop, set an appointment, go ahead and get the estimate done. They'll determine, what parts are needed to be ordered to repair the vehicle, and then they'll go ahead and order those parts once those come in, and that's part of the delay or the supply chain issues. Once that car comes or the parts come in, then you'll go in, take your car in, and have it repaired. Otherwise, if you take your car down there and leave it, it's going to be sitting in the parking lot. It could be substantial period of time, and your rental car coverage is not going to cover for that entire period of time. I think that's sometimes misunderstood as to what that means.
Yeah. So, like in the rec I was just in, you told me to do all of that. Obviously, what would your suggestions for somebody not at fault be while trying to recoup? Like, how do I get like subrogation essentially? How do I get the money back from the other company if I needed a rental for a long period of time?
Sure. Good question. If you have an accident and let's say the other party or the other company does not want to accept responsibility for whatever reason, you can go back to, and I'll just use Farmers, and I won't speak for every company, but
Sure.
it's pretty common. You can, even though you were not at fault, you can come to Farmers and file a claim, have your car repaired. You're going to pay your deductible. You have to
Okay.
remember that. You're going to pay your
Right.
deductible.
Right.
We're going to repair the car. And then what's called subjugation, we go back against the other insurance company and sue them for the deductible and the damage. And
Okay.
hopefully you recoup all of that. If you
Right.
have rental car coverage or loss of use coverage on your policy with Farmers, then you would have use of a rental car up to the limits of that coverage. And I think it's real important to understand what those coverages actually are and what they mean.
Okay. So first, knowing what your policy covers would be key. That because that's the
Sure.
first line of defense. Even if you're not at fault, have that set up there so you can at least take care of your person and vehicle in the meantime. Um, Not worrying about every other company's
Mhm.
policies, endorsements. What are some options that Farmers has? Like, give me three, kind of in the rental realm, just to
Okay.
prepare.
Well, good question. And just to speak to the first part, it's an agent's job to advise a client on what they need. We ask questions, we advise, we consult with them. But as a consumer and as a client, it's up to you to review your deck pages when you get them. And if because you don't want to uh, be in need of coverage that you don't have in place on your policy.
Sure.
That sounds kind of silly, but oftentimes we've seen people come in and with other companies and say they had a claim and it wasn't covered, but they didn't have that coverage. So it is important. It's a two-way street. Client needs
Right,
to review,
right.
agent needs to review. As far as the coverages on rental car, there's two, and I'll speak with what Farmers does. We have rental car coverage, or we have something called loss of use. Rental car coverage is just what it sounds like. You're gonna, if you have your car in the shop due to an accident, then there's going to be a set amount that you can choose to rent a car from Enterprise, and that's kind of a pretty simple process. The adjuster is going to set that up for you. You're going to go get the rental car. In many cases, it's with some companies it's a reimbursement. With us, we're going to take care of that rental car for you, and then once that benefit is up, the car will have to be returned. Loss of use is a little different, and we really like that with Farmers because loss of use again is rental car assistance, and I always want to make sure clients understand rental car is coverage, or loss of use is assistance in getting a rental car. It's not going to pay for months and months and months. There is a limit. So loss of use with us allows you to get a rental car if you are in need of one of your cars in the shop being repaired. You can get anywhere from $500 up to $1,000 to be used over a period of time for that rental car. What's really cool about that, though, with Farmers is that under our policy, let's say you don't need the rental car. Maybe you borrow one from the neighbors, you got an extra car, family member gives you one. We will still pay you that benefit for the length of time you would have used the car. You can apply that to your deductible or pocket the money. So you never really lose the benefit. So we really like that. But again, it's very important to understand that if you take your car into shop on day one for a claim and it's sitting there 60 days later because the parts aren't in or they haven't gotten your car, you're only going to be paid for the length of time that your policy says that you will be paid for, depending on whatever you choose as far as your coverage. It is not for an infinite amount of time. What happens in that case is if agents don't explain that, customers are shocked. They're
Mm-hmm.
saying the rental car company's calling me asking for my car to be returned, and my car's still in the shop and it's 3 weeks out. Well, that's why we make it very clear. Don't take your car to the body shop until they've said your parts are in, especially in the circumstances we're living under right now. And make sure that make sure you have an appointment set. Lost my train of thought on what I needed to tell you.
So it's kind of up to the client or the insured to understand their process. They need to go back to their agent to actually understand the policies that they've got in hand, because only what 20-25% of the people watching this are going to have Farmers, more than likely. So
Mm-hmm.
it'd be smart to like reach out and get an understanding of what you have.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, we can't, as farmers, and again, I'm only going to speak for Farmers and the Streller agency, we can negotiate, for lack of a better word, or ask for help on with an adjuster or contractor when they're working on your property if you have the coverage. But we can't go to an adjuster and say, well, they really wanted that or they intended to have that, because if the coverage is not on the policy, there's nothing we can do about it. One other clear thing on the rental car. Many times, if your agent has good relationships with the body shops,
Mm-hmm.
the body shop is taking longer than expected. And we had a situation where power was out due to the ice storm. I think it was this last year. Body shops couldn't finish some work on several clients, and it was not due to the insurance company's fault. It wasn't due to the insured, and it really wasn't the body shop's fault. Power went out, but they, after we made some calls, they began to pick up the cost of the rental car. So there are ways to do that, but coverage is coverage on a home, on an auto or home policy. It is built into the policy. We don't make exceptions based on how long someone's been with us or how much we like the client or whatever. Unfortunately, that doesn't have anything to do with coverages. It has to be very black and white. However, I will say with the Streller agency, we as agents are able to get involved in the claims. We talk to adjusters, we talk to contractors. As long as we bring them facts and figures and data that supports our contention that maybe this claim needs to be settled, re-looked at. Maybe we feel like the settlement wasn't exactly where it needed to be. As long as we have facts and figures and data to back that up, adjusters will listen to us. So that's something that's maybe unique to farmers agents because we're not an employee, so we do
Okay.
have that ability to get involved.
So obviously, when you sign the coverage, you're signing a contract between you and
Mm-hmm.
farmers in our case. Are you able to go mid-term and make adjustments? Say a client realizes, wow, I'm underinsured in several areas.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to mid-policy go in and have your agent adjust that for you?
Yes and no. That's a good
Okay.
question. It is a legally binding contract between two parties. You can make changes, you can make adjustments. We do that often when we do reviews with clients. It's important. Maybe they've outgrown their coverage. Could mean they need more, could mean they need less, or we need to modify current coverage that they have. So, yes, you can make those adjustments, and we will make those recommendations, and they can be done immediately or they can
Okay.
be done at renewal. However, there are times, and in Oklahoma, it's kind of one of these unique places. If there has been a situation where an alert has been put out due to an oncoming storm,
Mm-hmm.
you can't start dropping your deductibles and
I gotcha.
hope to goodness that the storm, doesn't hit. But if it does, you have alert. There are times fires in California. They do that same kind of thing. There are
Okay.
alerts that are moratoriums put out on changing things with policies. So those are situations where that happens, and we have had people come in with hail damage on their cars and say, I need to get my car covered. I want to add some comprehensive coverage. Well, it
Mm-hmm.
is after the fact, and I think most people understand, but some folks are confused that changing coverage after claim is just not going to happen. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay. That's pretty comprehensive overall explanation. I don't think there's a whole lot more to really add to it in general. I mean, you see the claims all the time. You're dealing with it, and you're the boots on the ground of anybody here in the office that helps the clients handle it. So,
Well, I think with the unique thing that we try to sell to our clients here is, and we always go back to this, premium does not always tell you the full story of what you're purchasing. Um, and what we do, and I'm not going to speak for any other company, I know what we do here as an agency is we bring value to that client because we do have relationships with contractors. We're in no way associated legally or financially with them, but we're certainly going to refer business to them. We send business to contractors that we trust. Their craftsmanship's typically impeccable. They understand our policies and they want to work with our clients. And because we have that relationship, we are able to, in many cases, get things done that otherwise might not be done with any other company, because in some cases you're dealing with companies where the adjuster lives in Connecticut and they don't know what a hailstorm in Oklahoma is like. Your adjuster here probably had his house hit when your house got hit, so they understand. And it's more personal, but we as agents here at the Streller Agency are able to get involved. Quick example, after the ice storm 2021, I believe it was,
yeah.
one of our clients who has a lot of business with us has a very substantial multi-million-dollar home. Um, because there were so many agents or so many adjusters that were overwhelmed with work, they hired a public adjuster to go out and observe the roof damage of this client. And his report back to farmers was there's not enough damage. We don't know if he actually got on the roof and looked, but he just came back and simply said there's no damage. So the client called us, obviously very upset because everybody in his neighborhood was getting their homes repaired because we'd had 3 hailstorms in about a 16-month, 18-month period, plus the
Mm-hmm.
ice storm. And so we got on the phone, talked to the adjuster, called a supervisor, and said, look, we want to take a contractor out there that we use that, quite frankly, is so well liked by farmers that they actually use his pictures. They will call him and have him go out and do inspections. So he went out, met the adjuster out there, and within about 15 minutes, they concluded the roof was totaled. So we went from a zero paid claim to, I think it was a $175,000, $180,000 roof, which after labor and materials started skyrocketing with the lumber tariffs and all that, ended up being about a $225,000 roof.
Wow.
Now we're not we're not always excited about massive claims hitting the
Right.
books, but that client in any other situation, probably with any other company, would have ended up having to get a an attorney to maybe work on this claim. And in that situation, once you get legal counsel, we cannot, as agents, we cannot be involved. And it's possible that he would have paid a portion of that settlement to the attorney. So I don't know that he would have come out
Sure.
on top or not. But that's just an example of where we, as agents with farmers here at the Scott Stroller Agency, are able to get involved. But again, you have to have coverage. We
Right.
can't negotiate something that's not on a policy.
So we've got 7,500 policies pretty easily here. How many per either like quarter of the year or monthly? How often are you getting in and touching a claim to get that tailored experience with like expertise behind it instead of just, hey, we got a phone
Yeah,
call, client had a hailstorm, just call a 1-800 number and they'll take
sure.
care of you.
Well, good question, because really that's what you're paying for. You're not paying for the ability of the insurance company to take money out of your bank account. We're all pretty good at that. But when it comes to the claim, that's what you're paying for. You want prompt service, you want professional advice, you want good experience. Um, I don't know on a monthly basis, because in Oklahoma, typically, although we've seen hailstorms in November and October and November, typically we have them in the springtime. And I know since 2019, I dealt with over 255, 260
Wow.
property claims.
Okay.
With us, if it's a standard claim like glass claim or towing claim, it's much quicker. The system is designed. You call our 800 number. They have a setup with SafeLight, or a adjuster's or claims person is going to get a tow truck out to you. Those are set up to be very simple and efficient and get you right to get somebody right in contact with you. So those are easy to do, and you can notify us, but it's just better to call the claims number. If it's a property claim, we really like for you to call us, because we want to talk about the process. Claim is like a dance. There's different parts. There's the dance. There's the dinner. There's the hors d'oeuvre time. There's different types of music, and it's a process. We want to walk you through that. We also want to advise you on what type of contractors to look for. If you in Oklahoma, typically, as soon as a hailstorm hits, you'll see quadruple, if not more, the number of contractors that are going to come in and do roofs. Well,
Okay.
many of them are coming across the border. Not saying that all of them are fly by night, but you've heard that term, and that's something you want to avoid, because those contractors typically are gone. And if you have problems with your roof 6 months later, you're not going to find them. So we want to advise you on contractors. We want to advise you on process. We want to advise you on the steps that you need to take. And again, we have some supply chain issues. Sometimes you see a backlog of jobs that contractors are working on, because when you have a catastrophic loss, it's not just 10 homes, it can be thousands of homes that are damaged. So we want to walk through the process. We'll get the claim filed for you. We'll get you in touch with the contractor if you need that, and they will then communicate with us. And so the process works pretty smoothly. Auto claims, honestly, if it's a single car accident and no one's injured, a lot of times we'll have you call the claims number, because there's some specific data information that they need to know that's better translated directly from the insured to the data claims specialist about locations and speed and
Sure.
who was in the vehicle. If it's an injury accident, we want you calling us, because that's
Okay.
going to be two different kinds of departments. You're going to have the property claims, and then you're going to have the medical side, the bodily injury.
Sure.
So
Okay.
we typically will want to get that filed for you, at least advise you on that.
Okay. Well, what would your advice be to somebody not with farmers, maybe not with a place that they love, but they're not able to switch right now? What are some things they could do that would help prevent more headaches in the future as they're kind of cleaning up their situation, whatever it may be?
So you mean they can't move because perhaps they have too many claims on the books? They
Sure.
don't qualify for us?
Sure.
Um, well, that's tough. Quite honestly, I'd come to us first anyway.
Okay.
If you're in a situation where you have several claims, yes, we have underwriting limits. We have requirements we have to meet. There are times, because of our standing as an agency, our relationship with underwriters, we can, again, if we come with facts, figures, and data that supports the business, we can sometimes get an exception. It's not because we like somebody better than another. It's because the underwriting looks at it, we present a proper case, and they say, well, looks like maybe those claims are coming off quickly, or there's some question about a particular claim. Maybe we can get the business written. Would not hurt you to let us put a proposal together for you and at least see if we can get some traction on getting it written. If we can't, then I would definitely get with your current agent and ask for a letter of experience. Have that in hand, so you can see the dates of when those claims were, so you can actually look at those claims. Because here's what happens with many companies. We do not make this a practice here. Many companies, when you call and say, I think I have roof damage, as an example,
Mm-hmm.
you'll hear the terminology, something, let's do a inquiry. Well, an inquiry with many companies is a claim, and
Right.
it may result in nothing being paid, but it's a claim. Even if nothing's paid, it's on the books as a claim that was filed, and that can hurt you when you try to move. So you might want to get with your current company and see what the claims were, make sure that they're appropriate. If they're, sometimes we'll find two claims that have been filed, but they're the result of the same incident.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you need to be aware if that was, and that's not that a company did something wrong, it may have just been a mistake in the way they filed it. Could be completely proper, but if that ends up actually being one claim, that can help you be able to move if that's the case. I just think anytime you have claims, you want to see how it was filed, what the claim looks like, what they said the cause was, because those can affect your ability to move. But always come to us. I mean, we have the ability in many cases to look at the overall uh, potential book of business with a client, and sometimes we can get an exception through farmers and get you written. And but we definitely will advise you on current coverages that are necessary in Oklahoma. We're very astute about what you need in Oklahoma, because 67% of our claims here on properties, as an example, are wind and hail. And you can either end up being surprised when you have a claim and finding out how much you're going to actually owe, or you can be, feel pretty comfortable that they did a great job of building the policy that I need for my particular situation. Find out you're going to be in really, really good shape.
Okay.
Surprises are not good.
No, no, nobody wants to get caught off guard. Well, let's wrap this up with three bullet points that you feel either the agency does better than the normal, or just give me three quick things that highlight Streller Agency.
Okay. Um, this has been developed over the years. It's a culture we have here that all agents and producers have, is that we know our policies and other companies' policies extremely well. And we're able to advise and literally go line by line and help you determine whether a coverage is appropriate for you or not. We're
Okay.
able to actually design the policy so it's not a one size fits all. We, as an agency, are very good at working with our clients on claims and working hand in hand with the adjuster and contractor to walk you through the process and help you when you're unsure of what's happening.
And that's something not all farmers agents take the time to do, correct?
I would say
Or it's
in
not a
any age,
requirement.
yeah, it's not a requirement, but we feel like that's what you're paying for, because a lot of people move to us because they had a bad experience. Well, I can assure you they're going to move away from us if they have a bad experience. And so I think that's just an important part, because the claim is what you're paying for.
Okay.
And so you may have one in your lifetime, you may have 10, but how that experience, how the result of that experience is going to determine you're going to stay or not. The other thing we do well is we review with our clients. it is the responsibility of a client to make payments on time, to keep up with their checking account, to keep up with their billing, because we send emails, texts. You have farmers.com account to keep up with your information. You get billing in the mail. It's important for you to, as a client, to keep up with it. But what we do well is we do reviews to make sure that we're moving forward in the direction we need to go. As far as your coverages, again, you may have outgrown coverage. Kids have left the house. Maybe you don't need as much liability coverage. Maybe you need an umbrella because now you have young drivers in the house and you need extended liability coverage. Maybe you've added something new to your home or put a different kind of roof on there that denotes a discount, perhaps. So we do reviews. And I can't think of the number of times clients have actually, and clients of ours, as well as new clients, have said, I really had no idea that that's what all was involved with my policy, or I never knew that I could have that, or that I needed that coverage if it was available. So I think we do an extremely good job of educating, of asking the right questions and advising. And again, with us, we're able to design or build a policy. It's not a one size fits all. Years ago, that's the way it was. You take what you get. If you have a $300,000 house or $1 million house, it's all the same. With us, we can design. And as again, one of your questions at the very beginning is, can you change things midterm? Yeah, a lot of times it's necessary. We do adapt, reconstruct, add to, take away from the policy, depending on what you need. Don't pay for something you don't have to have, but how do you determine that? It's by having a conversation with your agent.
I think that's the perfect wrap up point right there.
Don't you think?
Yeah, that was good.